What's up, you guys? LastDayZ ModZ here again with another tutorial video for you. Today I want to cover, this has been covered in lots of other videos by much more qualified people, but I wanted to go ahead and just, for the sake of completion, go ahead and make a video covering how to boost your loot or up your loot in your Nitrado server for your console. Um, so I'm not going to get too detailed on this. I will be in another server. We're going to be putting out some much more detailed videos in the future. We're going to actually take each of your XML files and break them down line by line, explaining what each line of code does. So that's in the in the forecast. You should see that coming up here soon. But today I'm just going to do a very simple, quick version on how to do that. Now I'm gonna do it two different ways. One of them is going to actually use a another website, and I'll put a link to that in the description. And it is called DSSC, and this is a very easy way to boost your loot. But anyway, let's get into this. First thing we want to do is go into our Nitrado server, go into the file browser, and the file we're looking for is the types.xml. This is the file that contains all of your loot that's going to spawn into your buildings, military tents, so on and so forth around the map. Be advised, this file does not contain animals, helicopter spawns, and cars. That's found in your events.xml file, and we'll cover that in another video. So today we're just going to do a very quick, simple video here on how to boost your loot. So the types.xml is found in the DB folder. And as always, we're going to make a quick backup of that. This is the file we want here, the types.xml. We're going to make a quick backup. And you don't have to do it this way. This is the way I do it on my desktop. I keep a folder called server backup, or in another folder somewhere where I can easily get to it. And then I put OG, which is original files. And so that's where I'm going to download this original version as it is now before I add my mods to it. And again, you don't have to do it this way, but I highly recommend however you do it, make sure you have a backup. So then what I do is I go in and I'm going to copy that and paste that into a folder that I've named mods, and then this is going to be the file that I actually work out of. Again, you don't have to do it this way, but this just helps me. So let's get into it. Let's open this file. I'm going to show you two different ways. First of all, I'm going to show you the manual way. And just for disclosure, this is the way I like to do it. I do it this way just because I like to have a little bit more control. And then also, I won't really get into too much detail in this video, but there are other things that you're going to do in this types.xml folder, or excuse me, file. For instance, if you want all of your ammunition to spawn in full, the stacks, or if you want your water bottles or Tetra or vitamin bottles to spawn in full, there's some other items that you can edit here in the types.xml, and I like to do that as I go. So for me, I like to do this manually, but I will show you another way to do it as well using a third-party application. Okay, so let's take a look at, let's just do a common item. Let's say our M4s. So Control F, and we're going to get into M4s. We've already got it selected there. So there is our M4. Let's pull it in nice big here so we can see this. All right, so there it is, the M4. So this line right here below M4 is what we want to pay attention to, nominal. Okay, nominal is the amount of this item that will be on the map at any given time in its maximum capacity. Now, by on the map, I mean in a place where a player can pick it up. Now, there's another line down here we're going to look at that actually can change that, and I'll look at that in just a moment. But this is it. Essentially, this is the maximum amount of this item that can be available. The other line we're going to look at is down here, min, and this is the minimum amount. So anywhere between 5 and 8 M4s right now in our vanilla version are going to be on the map at any given time. Okay, and so here's another, just for completion's sake, I want to look at flags down here. This is important because you'll see down here a couple things. It says count in cargo, count in hoarder, count in map, and count in player. So what that means is this is telling the game, don't only count the ones that are on the map laying for a player to pick up, but also count the ones that are on a player that a player might be carrying, or count the ones that are stored in a tent somewhere on the map. And you'll see that the M4 has that selected at 1. What that means is that's turned on. So it's, if somebody has an M4 in their backpack or in a barrel somewhere, it's going to count against that nominal number. So I don't want to confuse you with that too much. If you don't want that to happen, if you want to have more M4s available on your map, you simply put those to 0. But if you like a little more challenge in the game, put those to 1. And that way you don't have M4s laying all over the map for people to pick up. So let's get into this very quickly. So for the sake of this video, we're just going to simply double these. So we're going to change that number from 8 to 16. And we're going to change the minimum amount from 5 to 10. We're going to save that, and we have now effectively doubled our M4 loot. Okay, and so this is, again, this is the long, more complex way. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to scroll through this whole file. There is a lot of items here, but you're going to scroll through this whole file, and you're going to one by one up manually that nominal number and the minimal. Now, where this is advantageous is, let's say there's only a few items that you want boosted. It's advantageous to do it this way, because then you just simply hit Control F, you type in the name of that, and then you boost the item that you want boosted. So that's very advantageous to doing it this way. Now I'm going to show you a second way. Oh, and I should mention, many of these items, let's just say the Tundra, for instance. This really confuses a lot of people. The Tundra, if we type in Tundra here, you're going to notice, as we run a search, there is no Tundra. So you need to know the name of the item and how the game reads it. Now I know just because I have a backup file, and I'll see if I can add that file in the description here for you. But I've actually got a file that has all of the names of the items in the game as they appear in the game file. So for instance, it will show that the Tundra is actually the Winchester 70. There we go. So Winchester 70, that's actually your Tundra. So you need to know, because you might get confused, looking up for instance, the LAR. Well, I don't see LAR in here anywhere. Well, I know because I found out the hard way that the LAR in the game files is actually the FAL. That is the LAR. Okay, so I know that's confusing. I know that's a bit of a rabbit trail. So if you're not finding an item in the types.xml and you're thinking, boy, I know that is in the game, you can simply run a Google search. A lot of times it will bring up the actual item name as it appears in the types.xml. So that's one way to do it. Again, I'll try to add a copy of that file, and we're going to make that file as well available on our Discord, so you can find it there. So anyway, a bit of a side note there, but that's something that you'll need to know as you're editing this file. So now let's say you want to really boost your loot all around. You want everything on this on your map to be double looped. And so you don't want to spend 2 hours going through these individually, one by one, and upping every one of those. And why would you, right? Who has that kind of time? So I want to show you a great tool that's available. Let's not save this. Well, actually, we already saved it, but that's all right. This is a tool that is available, and I'll put a link in the description for you. And it is, oh, where did it go? Oh, there it is. It is DSC, or DayZ Standalone Server Customizer. And so all you're going to do is you're going to take that types.xml, the one you want to edit, and just drag it in there and just drop it. Watch what happens. Give it a minute to load. Boom. So now we essentially have every single item. This is our types.xml file broken down for us. And let's say we want to double it. Well, it becomes very easy because up here we have maximum and minimum. So if we want to double, for instance, we have the ACOG optic and we have it set to 15. If we want to double every single item in this column, all we do is we hit up. And now look at that. That's doubled every single one. So now essentially all of your loot on the map has been doubled. Very, very cool. And obviously, if we do that, we want to make sure we double the minimum as well. Because essentially what happens is once that minimum number has been reached, if there's only, if we set this to 8, like it is now, the game will not spawn another item in until that minimum number is reached. So we want to up that a bit to 16. Okay, so now we've doubled our nominal and we've doubled our minimum. Okay, and so that's a very quick way that you can double your loot. If you just want double loot across the board for all of your items, and then you're going to go down here to the bottom right and you're going to click save. It saves that types.xml. Take a moment, and then you're going to click on the types.xml right here. Click on that, and it's going to ask you where you want to save it. Server backup. We don't want to click in server backup OG. Remember, we want to click in the mods because we want our modified version. We're going to overwrite that. Oop. Yes, we do want to replace it. Okay, so now let's go back in, take a look at our types.xml in the mods. Let's close this out so you can see. Here's our mods. This is the one we saved. And now take a look at this. We have doubled everything. So there it is. ACOG optic 30, ACOG optic 6 times 10, AK101 16. So all of these have now effectively been doubled. Now, one thing a lot of people like to do here too is if you're going to double your loot, this is very important. Listen to what I'm going to say here. If you're going to double your loot and you want your server to perform at high levels, you need to make room for the extra loot. Okay, this is very important. So what that means is if you're going to now double the amount of loot in this game, you're going to need to take some loot away. Okay, so that's why on a lot of these boosted servers, you'll see what we refer to as quote unquote junk loot or coastal loot removed. You know, you'll have like the hoodies, and sometimes people will remove the wool coats and you know, the skirts and the shorts and some of the shoes, things like that. So to remove them, you just simply set these numbers, the nominal and the minimum, you set them to 0. So if you're going to double all of your loot, hear me when I say this, you need to go through and pick some items that you know are you just can play without. You don't need them on your server. Make sure and set those numbers to 0 so you're making room for the extra loot. Okay, please hear me when I say that. It will really help the performance of your server. So we're not going to do that here for the sake of time, but you will have to just kind of go through this file, and when you find an item that you know you don't like or that you know you'll never use, and every time you go into a house and you're like, ah man, you know, a skirt, I didn't, man, I was hoping to get a gun or a you know, something or some food. Go ahead and put that number to 0 so it doesn't spawn in, and that will in turn compensate for the extra loot that you've added. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and that has clarified that for you. Now remember, as always, we did cover this in another video, but I am going to show you how to do this here. So we've got our brand new types.xml. We're really excited about it, but there's one more step before you upload it to your server. Okay, and this is important. We're going to want to validate this. And I'll put a link in the description for this, but we do have one in our other video on validating your XML. So you're going to validate XML, go to this website, choose the file. We're going to choose the file that we just modded. It's in mods, and it's this types.xml. We're going to choose that, and then we're going to click validate. And what we're looking for here is this right here. No errors were found. Okay. Now, if you have made a mistake, or if in your editing you missed a piece of punctuation, or you deleted something you weren't supposed to delete, you're going to get an error here, and it's going to show you where that is. I won't take any more time on this video explaining that. We have another whole video that explains that on here. So simply just find that in our videos, watch that. It will give you a full explanation of that. But there you have it. Your types.xml is now modified, ready to go. Your loot has been doubled, and you can delete that types.xml from your server. I should mention you want to stop your server before doing this, and then you're going to want to upload your new one. Make sure you're going to the modified version, the one you changed. Upload that. Make sure it appears. Okay, there it is. Go ahead, restart your server. And now when you restart your server, all of your loot on your server is now doubled. So there you have it. That's how you double your loot or increase your loot. You can go as crazy as you want with that. You can now notice every time you click that button, the up button, it doubles the amount that you have there. So you're going to go from 2 times to 4 times to 8 times to 16 times. So don't go too crazy with that button. And remember, if you're going to add that many items, you need to make room on your server for it. So you're going to have to remove items that you deem unnecessary in order to do that. If you try to, add 12 times the loot or 16 times the loot and make sure and keep every single item in the game, your server is most likely going to crash at some point. So please heed that advice, and that will help your server run at top performing ability. And so there you have it. If you have any questions, you can always reach us on our Discord, but please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of new videos as they come out. Hope this has helped you. And once again, as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.